It's a movie that is sort of like The Breakfast Club, but an update. So tell me how it's different.
Yeah, we have Anthony Michael Hall in here, so he's actually playing the assistant dean. It's a whole new set of conflicts. They're not here because they got in trouble. It's not a disciplinary thing. They missed or failed an exam. So this is a makeup class. It just so happens the exam is an acting class and they have to do an improv and put together a scene. So they're forced to use their own experiences in life, their own personal emotions and things of that to create this character. And the teacher gives them this playing field. And you can find out why these kids did not take this exam. All of them are really struggling through some personal issues, whether it's with family or whether it's out there, and it's very contemporary. We deal with a lot of today's issues. I've always said that, when we were growing up, it's kind of easy, problems were, parent, kid, parent. You didn't have a problem, until you got to school and figure out there was one. Now these kids are facing enemies at 8 years old. And I always call the internet and the iPhone, it's like the weapon of mass destruction. And if you're looking for trouble, you can find it. I just don't think these kids or any kids are really mature enough to handle this adult world when they haven't even handled their adolescent world.
Which brings up the question about how you get the knowledge, the feeling, the sense of getting inside a kid's head. That writing must be a difficult chore, dealing with the age, the hormones, everything else that you have to deal with when you're writing for that age.
It's true. It's a different voice. But here's the thing that I've learned. I have 2 teenage kids. Okay. This inspiration was really by watching them. I've always liked John Hughes with the fact that he he did write some things that dealt with kids in the moment, whether it was overnight or whether it was during the day, and it ended imperfectly. I kind of like that, and I wanted to do something coming of age. But one thing I discovered that had not changed is we all hand down the same idiosyncrasies, paranoias, fears, adolescence scenarios, generation to generation. What they're going through now and what they're feeling is no different than what we felt. That hasn't changed. Conflict has changed. So you have to really get with what's going on in today's world.
Do you think that the kids voice it more now than they would, say, when we were growing up?
No, they voice it less because they do it through a text. So it's not a voice. It's a level of somebody else. They wouldn't say that face to face. They don't know how. They lost their ability to communicate. They really have. My son will be in the next room and he's texting me. I said, "Are you really serious? You're going to text me being 10 feet away?" I mean, it's ridiculous. I won't answer back. That was another inspiration where this is an acting class. They have to put away their cell phones, their iPads, their computers, and they're forced to communicate. And they just don't know how to communicate. So it's really pushing and breaking down these walls. And once they do that, you discover all these things that are going on within their lives that they haven't been able to communicate out. That's why they're a mess.
I'm amazed in a lot of movies how talented young actors are.
Yeah.
You find these young actors. How did you find this ensemble, and how difficult was it to cast this?
Well, first off, you're right about young talent. Young talent is really good because they haven't learned how to lie well.
Yes.
We learn at growing up how to lie well. It's really, you're born with the mask of wonder. Every emotion comes out as a kid, and then you kind of grow to kind of wall that up, and then you become an adult and you learn how to mitigate problems. So they're in between all of that. So it's great. I still have them kind of like open wounds. Well, first off, I got Anthony Michael Hall. When the script got out there, I had a lot of offers for it. And then everyone said, "Oh, it reminds me of The Breakfast Club." Everybody started going that direction. And it was very complimentary, and I liked that. So I said to myself, interesting. I go, what if I went and approached one of the actual cast members? It can either go very well for me or not. It can go, it can either work or not work. So I said to myself, in the original Breakfast Club, which one of them would have grown up most likely to be an assistant principal of a school? Anthony Michael Hall was, you know, the brain guy, so maybe he'd be grown up. That's how it started. So I approached him and he read it. We met, we talked, and loved it. He says, man, you got a whole new set of conflicts here. He said, you found it, and on and on. I love it, the script, and on and on. So once I got him on, it became much easier because a lot of kids wanted to work with him. I had no idea how many fans there are of the Breakfast Club. All these kids well, then I put out a breakdown and I picked them. I had a casting director and she gave me a lot of stuff. People went on tape. You know, I wrote it. I knew what I was looking for. I wanted a diverse group. I wanted something that really represented today. You know, the Breakfast Club, let's call it like it is. It was white across the board. That's just not how things are. And our country is much different these days. And I wanted to make sure that I had a diverse group of teenagers. So that's kind of was my first goal. And then I just put out a casting thing and people clicked onto the concept. And I just had enormous amounts of photos and submissions. And I just kind of went through them. And I met the ones I liked, you know, I narrowed down, I talked to them on Zoom. And I asked them, what is it that you liked about the script? I know you want my point of view. I want your point of view. You tell me why you like this character, you know, and I wanted to make sure they had their arms around it. And then a lot of them said, you know, I'm just such a fan of Breakfast Club. I was always waiting for something to be written like it. I want to be part of it. And Anthony Michael Hall. And there was that sub excitement that I just didn't realize these young kids are still latching onto a film 35. And you want to know why? Because that film touched on real emotions. So my point is this, 18-year-old kids are watching The Breakfast Club from 35 years ago and relating to the emotions of what was going on then. Henceforth, we're constantly passing down the same problems, the same feelings, the same fears, year to year to year. So it doesn't matter what decade we're in. We all kind of feel the same at that time. That's why that film still resonates today.